Parliamentary committees are established to study and deal with various matters that cannot be directly handled by the legislature due to the volume and complexity um, as the parliament has the functions that are varied and complex in nature. So it has neither the adequate time nor necessary expertise to make a detailed scrutiny of all legislative measures and other matters related to it. Therefore, it is assisted by a number of committees in the discharge of its duties. And the parliamentary committees are regulated as per rules made by the two houses under the article 118 1 of the Indian Constitution. However, the Indian Constitution makes a mention of these committees at different places, but without making any specific provision regarding their composition, tenure, or functions. And all these matters are dealt by the rules of the two houses. So, the parliamentary committees means a committee that fulfills the four criteria that are mentioned below, which includes that it is appointed or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker or the Chairman. And secondly, it works under the direction of the Speaker or the Chairman of the respective Houses, and it presents its reports to the House or to the Speaker or the Chairman, and it has a secretariat provided by the Lok Sabha or by the Rajya Sabha. So we can say that the consultative committees, which also consist of members of parliament, are not parliamentary committees as they do not fill the above four conditions. See, broadly, parliamentary committees can be divided into two different kinds. Firstly, the standing committees, and secondly, the ad hoc committees. So, the standing committees are permanent and they are constituted every year or periodically and work on a continuous basis, while the ad hoc committees are the temporary one and cease to exist on completion of the task that is assigned to them for the purpose. On the basis of the nature of the functions performed by them, the standing committees can be classified into the following six categories: the financial committees, departmental standing committees, committees to inquire, committees to scrutinize and control, committees relating to the day to day business of the house, and housekeeping committees or service committees. Such committees are concerned with the provision of facilities and service to the members. So now let's discuss the following six categories of the standing committees in detail. So firstly, the financial committees that comprises of three committees against. It includes public accounts committees, estimates committees, and committee on public undertakings. Now let's discuss the Public Accounts Committee. So this committee was set up first in 1921 under the provisions of the Government of India Act 1919, and since then it has been in existence, and at present it consists of 22 members, 15 from the Lok Sabha and 7 from the Rajya Sabha, and these members are elected by the parliament every year from amongst its members according to the principle of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote. So thus all parties get due representation in it. The chairman of the committee is appointed from among its members by the speaker, and it was until 1966 that the chairman of the committee belonged to the ruling party, but since 1967 a convention has developed that the chairman of the committee is selected from the opposition. Let's discuss some of the functions of the committees. So firstly, its function is to examine the annual audit reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, which are laid before the Parliament by the President. The committee examines public expenditure not only from legal or formal point of view to discover technical irregularities, but also from the point of view of economy and wisdom to bring out the cases of waste, loss, corruption, extravagance or inefficiency in expenses. The committee also examined the appropriation accounts and the finance accounts of the union government and any other accounts laid before the Lok Sabha. The appropriation accounts compare the actual expenditure with the expenditure sanctioned by the Parliament through the Appropriation Act, while the finance accounts shows that an annual receipts and disbursements of the Union government. The committee also examined the accounts of state corporations, trading concerns and manufacturing projects and the audit report of the Comptroller and Auditor General on them. Further, the committee also examined the money spent on any service during a financial year in excess of the amount granted by the Lok Sabha for that purpose, and in the fulfillment of the above functions, the committee is assisted by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and he acts as a guide, friend and philosopher of the committee. Now let's discuss the estimate committee. So the origin of this committee can be traced to the Standing Financial Committee set up in 1921. The first estimates committee in the post-independence era was constituted in 1950 on the recommendation of John Mathai, the then finance minister of India. So basically the function of this committee is to examine the estimates included in the budget and suggest economies in public expenditure. Hence it has been described as a continuous economy committee. In more detail, the functions of the committee are as follows. Firstly, to report what economies, improvements in organizational structure, efficiency and administrative reform consistent with the policy underlying the estimates can be effected. Secondly, to suggest alternative policies in order to bring about efficiency and economy in administration. Thirdly, to examine whether the money is well laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimates. And fourthly, to suggest that the form in which the estimates are to be presented to the Parliament. However, this committee cannot question the policy that are laid down by the Parliament, and its recommendations are advisory and not binding on the ministers. Committee on Public Undertakings. So this committee was created in 1964 on the recommendation of the Krishnan Menon Committee, and the functions of the committees are follows. Firstly, to examine the reports and accounts of public undertakings. Secondly, to examine the reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General on public undertakings. To examine in the context of autonomy and the efficiency of public undertakings whether the affairs of the public undertakings are being managed in accordance with the sound business principles and the commercial practices. And lastly, to exercise such other functions vested in the Public Accounts Committee and the Estimates Committee in relation to the public undertakings which are allowed to it by the Speaker from time to time. However, this committee cannot take up the examination of more than 10 to 12 public undertakings in a year, and it does not look into technical matters as its members are not technical experts. Discuss second categories of the standing committees, that are departmental standing committees. So on the recommendation of the Rules Committee of Lok Sabha, 17 departmentally related committees DRSCs were set up in the Parliament in 1993. It was in 2004 that 7 more such committees were set up, thus increasing their number from 17 to 24. The main objective of the standing committees is to secure more accountability of the executives, that are the Council of Ministers, to the Parliament, particularly financial accountability. They also assist the Parliament in debating their budget more effectively. The 24 standing committees cover under their jurisdiction all ministries, departments of the central government, and each standing committee consists of 31 members, 21 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha. The term of the office of each standing committee is 1 year from the date of its constitution, and out of the 24 standing committees, 8 work under the Rajya Sabha and 16 work under the Lok Sabha. We have mentioned the list in which the 8 committees that work under the Rajya Sabha and the 16 committees that work under the Lok Sabha. Now let's discuss the third category of standing committees, that is committees to inquire. So it again consists of 3 committees, which are committees on petition, committee on privileges and ethics committees. So, the Committee on Petitions examines petition bills and on matters of general public importance, and it entertains representations from individual and associations on matters pertaining to the union subjects. The Lok Sabha committee consists of 15 members, while the Rajya Sabha committee consists of 10 members. And the functions of the Committee of Privileges are semi-judicial in nature and examines the cases of breach of privileges of the House and its members and recommends appropriate action. The Ethics Committee was constituted in Rajya Sabha in 1997 and in Lok Sabha in 2000, and it enforces the code of conduct of members of parliament, and it examines the cases of misconduct and recommends appropriate action. Thus, it is engaged in maintaining decline or decorum in the parliament. Fourth category of the standing committees are the committees to scrutinize and control, which again consist of the following committees. Let's discuss the following in some detail. So, firstly, the Committee on Government Assurances. So, this committee basically examines the assurances, promises, and undertakings given by ministers from time to time on the floor of the House and reports on the extent to which they have been carried through. Secondly, it consists of Committee on Subordinate Legislation, which examines and reports to the House whether the powers to make regulations, rules, sub-rules and bylaws delegated by the Parliament or conferred by the Constitution to the Executive are being properly exercised by it. Thirdly, it includes Committee on Papers laid on the table, and this committee was constituted in 1975 and it examines all papers laid on the table of the House by ministers to see whether they comply with the provisions of the Constitution or the related act or rule. Committee on Welfare of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. So, this committee consists of 30 members, 20 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha, and its functions are to consider the reports of the National Commission for the Scheduled Caste and the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, and to examine all matters that are relating to the welfare of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, for example like implementation of constitutional and statutory safeguards or working of welfare programs, etc. Further, it includes Committee on Empowerment of Women. So, this committee was constituted in 1997 and it considers the reports of the National Commission for Women and examines the measures taken up by the Union government to secure the status, dignity, and equality for women in all fields. Joint Committee on Offices of Profit. So, this committee examines the composition and character of committees and other bodies appointed by the central or the state or the union territory government and recommends whether the person holding these offices should be disqualified from being an elected members of parliament or not. So these are the 6 committees that are constituted under the committees to scrutinize and control. Now, the fifth category of the standing committees is the committees relating to the day-to-day business of the House, which again further consist of 4 committees. Firstly, the Business Advisory Committee, which regulates the program and timetable of the House, and it allocates time for the transaction of legislative and other business brought before the House by the government. Further, the second committee is the Committee on Private Members and Private Members' Bills and Resolutions. So, this committee classifies bills and allocates time for the discussion on bills and resolutions introduced by the private members other than ministers. The third is the Rules Committee, which considers the matters of procedure and conduct of business in the House and recommends necessary amendments or additions to the rules of the Houses. And the fourth committee is the Committee on Absence of Members, which considers all applications from members for leave of absence from sitting of the houses and examines the cases of members who have been absent from a period of 60 days or more without permission. The sixth category of the standing committee is the housekeeping committees, which consists of the following committees. Let's discuss the following. So, firstly, the General Purpose Committee. This committee considers and advises on matters concerning affairs of the House which do not fall within the jurisdiction of any other parliamentary committee. Second, the House Committee, which deals with residential accommodation of members and other amenities like food, medical aid, etc., accorded to them in their houses and hostels in Delhi. Thirdly, the Library Committee, and this committee considers all matters relating to library of the parliament and assists the members in utilizing the library services, and it consists of 9 members, 6 from Lok Sabha and 3 from Rajya Sabha. Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances of Members. So this committee was constituted under the Salary, Allowances and Pension of Members of Parliament Act 1954. It frames rules for regulating payment of salary, allowances and pension to members of the parliament. After discussing all the standing committees in detail, now let's also discuss the ad hoc committees. So the ad hoc committees can be divided into two categories, that is inquiry committees and advisory committees. So the inquiry committees are constituted from time to time either by the two houses on the motion adopted in that behalf or by the speaker chairman to inquire into and report on specific subjects. For example, the which are mentioned below in the list. And the second category of ad hoc committees are the advisory committees that include select or joint committees on bills which are appointed to consider and report on particular bills. So these committees are distinguishable from other ad hoc committees in as such as they are concerned with bills and the procedure to be followed by them is laid down in the rules of procedure and the directions by the speaker or the chairman.